Yo, it's Elliot with Yo Elliot. You got strength questions and I'll hook you up with an answer. Yo, Elliot. Well, today we got a question from Ruiful. Ruiful wants to know, hey Elliot, I don't feel my lats during my back workout. I do lots of reps and lots of different exercises, but I don't feel sore or any fatigue in it. What the hell should I do? Well, thanks for your question. First thing is, you've got to recognize that the lats, most people don't know this, but the lats kind of work as a low back hip muscle as well as a shoulder muscle. They spread way down from in your lower back up into your shoulders. It's a huge sheet of muscle. And with that understanding, you got to realize that there may be imbalances, and there probably are, because most people have them, in the muscles of the low back and hips, as well as the shoulder. And what happens is with those muscle imbalances, you've got one muscle or a set of muscles that are overpowering another set of muscles. It's called reciprocal inhibition. So essentially, you've got, in the shoulder, you'll have the bicep and the pec minor and some of the muscles in the front of the shoulder that are overdeveloped and strong, and they, in their activity, they inhibit the use of your lats during certain movements. Down in the low back, what happens is the upper hamstring, if the upper hamstring becomes very tight and pulls your butt under, it won't allow the lats to do what it naturally does, is to help force lumbar extension in your low back. So, two things to take a quick look at. Do you have a sort of a kyphotic but a posture, but namely, does your upper arm medially rotate to some degree? I may be exaggerating, but to some degree, if you stand still, do your thumbs sort of turn in, or are they pointing straight ahead or even out? Your thumbs, if you stand straight ahead or you hold a pencil in your hand, in both hands, should point straight ahead, and I mean, they could point out if you've really got like awesome posture, but you may just have another problem. They should point straight ahead, or your thumbs should be pointing straight ahead. If they medially rotate, that means what I'm describing. You've got like reciprocal inhibition where the muscles in the lats and probably your thoracic adductors are not working because of the overdeveloped bicep and the pec minor. You've got to deal with that. And I'm going to show you how in a moment, because if you don't, you're going to destroy your shoulders and you're never going to have the big flying squirrel lats that you probably want. The other thing is, in your low back area, if you've got a flat back, if you got your butt kind of tucking under, and you got tight upper hamstrings, you know, just like no butt, like Pink Panther, then your lats are not working on the lumbar spine to help force extension at the low back, because your hamstrings are so tight that they're pulling your hips down. They're just, imagine something like when someone's pulling your pants down, or you're pulling your pants down, I don't know. You're pulling your pants down, and if your body moves with it, it'll sort of, your butt will sort of tuck under. Well, that's the same action of the hamstrings. It's going to pull your butt under. When that's the case, it'll inhibit the lower portion of the lats. So if you've got one or both, and a lot of people have both of that going on, your back is just going to look like a long, flat banana. There's not much going on there. Your lats aren't going to work. So what we've got to do is we've got to work on correcting those imbalances to some degree, and then give you some exercises to really isolate that. And a lot of you guys who are asking questions about Elliot, how do I isolate certain muscles? Well, you know, most of the bodybuilding exercises that you're probably doing will never isolate the muscles. Even though you're doing the right exercise, the problem is this reciprocal inhibition. You've got other muscles that are so dominant that they're taking away from the muscle that you're trying to target's ability to work. That's why form is so important. You know, it may seem real geeky that you've got to use really good form and stuff, and you know me, you've seen me throw 400-pound logs over my head and drop stones, and I've done all this type of shit, but my body's balanced enough to be able to do it. A lot of you guys, you know, you don't have good muscle balance, so we got to fix these situations before your body's even able to isolate muscles that you would use in a functional pattern. So exercise, like for example, like just for me, because I've got really balanced shoulders, exercises like behind the neck pull downs, people say, oh, it's terrible, you should never push or pull from behind the neck. Well, you know what, it really isolates my lats, it does a really good job for me, and it won't destroy my shoulders because my shoulders are balanced. You can't do that. What we've got to do is we've got to create that balance. So, really quickly, what stretches and what exercises to do. First one, stretch your shoulders against the wall. I've shown you this 1,000 times. Some of you guys are sick of me saying this. Stretch your shoulders against the corner of a wall. Stretch out your pec minor. Stretch your bicep. One of the ways you can stretch your bicep is just putting your hands against the wall, turning away, you'll feel a stretch all through your hands. It's like, and then way up into your shoulders. You'll feel stretches way all the way throughout there. Stretch that first. Now, a lot of people want to argue with me about corrective stretching or static stretching before exercising, but I invite you to take a look at some of the links I'll put down below, if I remember, and information by Vladimir Yando, who describes a lot of the reciprocal inhibition that I'm talking about, and has concluded that if you stretch tight tonic muscles prior to trying to activate the muscles that have been inhibited, or your phasic muscles, you create a situation where those muscles will turn on. They have to be turned on because you've deadened the electric or the nervous system's impulse to those muscles that are hypertonic. So stretch those freaking muscles out before you work out. Another thing is you're going to want to stretch your upper hamstrings. So waiter's bows or sitting against the wall with your back flat up against the wall, legs straight out, and sticking your butt in the corner, really trying to arch your low back and shoving your ass into the corner. That's going to be a really good stretch for your hamstrings. Once you've immediately, as soon as you stretch those muscles out, I'm going to show you an exercise in just a moment that you're going to use to isolate the lats. The problem is that you're going to have to pay very close attention to how you're doing this movement. You're going to have to be meticulous in the movement. So just check it out. So hopefully you guys can see me, but basically I'm in my power rack right now, and I've got these two bands set up on the outside of the power racks. What we want to do in order to eliminate the bicep from taking over with the lat pull down move, which is probably what's happening, and to force extension at the low back, and to get the pec minor to be eliminated completely so that you can isolate the lats, you want to take these bands, drop your elbows into them. So I got my elbow into it, I got my elbow into it. Boom. So I'm here. So you're not using your hands to pull it. Because when you use your hands, you're going to end up using your bicep. So from this point, if you've got imbalanced shoulders, you're probably shrugging over a little bit and your elbows are pointing back. What I want you to do is I want you to pull your elbows up underneath you, keep your hands behind your head, don't let them fall forward of your head, and then just pull your elbows down into your body. At the same time that you're doing this, and part of the reason why I have you kneeling, is I want you to stick your ass out like Donald Duck. I know you probably can't see me here. I'll try to get another angle for you, but I want you to stick your ass out, pick your chest up, since you've got like a huge arch in your low back, and from that point, just pull your elbows down. Bang. The entire movement, you got to focus on keeping your hands behind your head and keep your elbows tucked under. And if you practice that, this is not a bodybuilding move. I'm trying to make sure I'm in the camera. This is not a bodybuilding move. This is a corrective exercise. This is the shit that you have to do so that you can ultimately reach your full potential in bodybuilding, powerlifting, or whatever your performance in any sport that you're trying to do. The problem is that if you go and you start loading up the barbell, or the pull downs, or you start trying to do really heavy pull downs or presses overhead, you're going to destroy your shoulders because your anatomy's fucked up. So we got to fix it first with stretches and exercises like this that I constantly preach, corrective stretches, corrective exercises, and then when you get that, when your nervous system builds a brand new engram, builds a road from your nervous system into the muscles that have been dormant. I think there's something called amnesia, motor sensory amnesia. Your muscles essentially have amnesia. They just forgot how to work because you haven't used them in so long. So you've got to take some time to wake that muscle up out of its amnesia, get it to be activated, and then you can start isolating it with more complex exercises and then integrating it into really complex exercises that get your body to grow fast and strong. That's it, folks. Thanks for your video questions. I hope it was helpful. Talk to you next time. Yo, Elliot.